First time ever that the four of you are in the same room, so it is a privilege for all of us to be here. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. Where do we start? First of all, congratulations to David for running the fastest ever 800 meter. I think you know all these people that are here today. Let me welcome Alberto Juantorena from Cuba.
Senior partner.
Lord Sebastian Coe from Great Britain, Northern Ireland. Mr. Wilson Kipketer. And David Rudisha, that I already presented to you. Gentlemen, shall we go back in history?
Where to start?
Seb.
No, we start with the senior partner.
Yeah, let's start with Seb. Do you remember when you broke the world record for the first time, what Alberto's standing world record was?
Not only do I remember it, but I remember seeing him in Montreal and thinking I'm in the wrong distance. So yeah, I knew exactly what it was. And when I broke it in Oslo, I wasn't expecting to break it, and this was a record that was sensational.
And Alberto, do you remember when Sebastian broke your
Yes,
world record?
yes, I know. I have a clear picture because I was in the United States. And then it was the first time that the Cuban track team competed in the United States. And the people who welcomed me said, I have two news for you. What happened? What news? Two. One is good and one is bad. The good is you are here. And the second one said, broke your world record last night. And then I realized that this guy who I had admired very much was a great runner, a very good runner. But one thing, he is a good runner, but as a person, he's a better person as a runner. I had the privilege to be a friend of my brother Sebastian Coe.
Wilson.
Yes.
You seem to know everything about the history of the 800-meter run. What do you remember of these two legends?
I think if I look back, so I don't remember that much because maybe I was too young when Juantorena ran. And then when I was starting running, so Seb Coe also was retired. And that time I was in Kenya, so you know the television was not there, so I didn't really see that much. But when I came to Europe, so the names was there. And then when I started running, so my time was 1:45:70, and we were talking about 1:41:73. But it took me a while to say, okay, that record I think has been there too long. And I say I'm going after it, and I got it. Because it was almost 16 years when I broke it. And I was looking back, when he broke the record, when we were running very well, I was 9 years. And then when I was still enjoying it, I said, maybe you can stay for another 16 years or 17 years. So Rudisha came, so I didn't enjoy it that much to know the history of 800. But then, saying that, so talking about the Olympic champion in 800. Lord Seb Coe.
No, Olympic champion.
Me, not. So now I think so we are leaving the history of 800. If it's going to continue, no medal in 800 meters in Olympic. So I think the answer is going to answer that. So I think I move it this way, the history of 800.
David, I don't think you knew that we were bringing these three legends here today. I think it's a bit of a surprise for you. So how do you feel being in the room and this very special occasion?
In fact, very surprised to see the 4-1 record sitting together like this today, because I didn't know even if Wilson, although I know Wilson stayed in Monaco, but I didn't know the other two gentlemen are going to be here. So I'm surprised, and I'm very happy. It's not something that happen easily to see people sitting like this in a row. So it's very good, and I'm very happy to see that.
Well, before we pass the floor on to the journalists, Wilson had a little crazy idea before we got into the room, and he was thinking of asking all you guys to try and run a 4x800 as in the opening ceremony of the London 2012. So
That's a good relay. 4x800.
Yeah, okay.
Can we
Maybe we
include
take
it?
this on now.
Can we include it in the program?
Well,
If you allow me to run on a bike, okay.
you have 115 years between the two of us.
Any questions from the floor? Neil?
It took you, your record lasted 16 years and your record lasted 13 years. How long do you think, how close do you think the record now is to its limit?
I think that question would go to the Rudisha, still running.
You don't think?
The thing I say is, because I don't know anyway between Juantorena and Sebco how long it was.
No,
But-
mine was a little short.
5 years.
5 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Or
huh?
did you
2
ask
years.
me?
2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
2 years.
Broke
2
in
years.
Broken twice.
77, 79.
In 76
Six-
and
77,
77
79.
in Sofia.
76, 77, 79.
I took the record from Gasconaro, Marcelo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great friend of mine, Marcello
Marcello.
Gasconaro, un grande uomo, un grande corridore, gareggiava durissimo, durissimo. But if you ask me, this record belongs to the new generation, belongs to the future. 141.01, this belongs to the future, in my opinion.
So the question I think so is, if we can see, so it was 13 years, from 16 years to 13 years, so we are cutting 3 years, so maybe
No, it will stick for a bit.
I think so it's going to be,
It'll be around a bit.
Do you have any idea of limits? Would you?
No, I don't think we're anywhere near them. I really don't.
I think in 800 anyway it's still possible to run maybe under 140.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it's still going.
Yeah.
You never know the limit of a human being, you never know,
Mm.
you never know.
One more question?
You can have more than one.
Question to
That's
Four
for people that
questions.
I well remember, David, when I met you in Lausanne, you explained me that for you it's important to be focused just on 800 meters to have good result and to win in big championships. You have all three different profile: 400, 800, 815, just 800 for Wilson. I would like to.
Yeah, that's
I would like to know if you have always the same opinion, and what do you think about this idea to be focused on just one event, one distance?
I came to realize, it's not good for me, like the way I was thinking and the way we are thinking with my coach, that to get the good rhythm in 800, you have to just run 800 rather than, sometimes when you run like 1500 and then you come back to 800, you might lose rhythm and then it will take you time to catch up again. Though I have been running some 400 just for the speed in the beginning of the season, and then I focus on 800 only. That is what I've been doing for the last 2 years, and it has been working very well for me because I get that rhythm. I just run smoothly without struggling, because if I change speed and it will give me a problem.
Me? No, let's say that in my case it's a little bit different because I was a Guatemalan. I was a runner. My basic races was 400 meters. And then I do not have the intention as a person, as an athlete, to compete in both events in Montreal. I was refused the first offer that my coach said to me, you're going to run 800 and 400. I say no, because I was afraid, because 800 was the first race and 400 was the second one. But that's why I always talk about Italy. Italy is the key point of my career because of Fiasco Marcelo, because the first time in life that I ran 800 was in Formia with a great friend of mine, Elio Paponetti. Elio Paponetti said, I am the Cristoforo Colombo of Juantorena. Because it was the first time I ran 800. And then I realized I have a chance to run, because for the first time in my life I ran 1:45:36. And then I convinced myself, from psychological point of view, for sentimental point of view, whatever you want us to express. And then that's why I decided to run both. And then during Montreal we changed a little bit the strategy and the philosophy of 100 meter, because first lap was faster than before, because I passed 50.5, faster than the other runner, because they ran 800 and 1500, but I was a sprinter. And that's why I give me the opportunity to run easy the last lap. If you analyze the history, I never ran before in my life 800. Just 2 months before the Olympics, in Formia, in Havana, and in Montreal. Only 2 times international level. And one thing,
After Olympics?
yeah, after the Olympic,
No.
not more, not much. Only for a year. Only for a year. If you revise the history, I ran in row every single day of athletic, for the first day to the end of the calendar, because I ran 800 3 times, 400 4 times, and 4x4. I am the only man who ran a complete calendar during the track and field in Olympic. The people who can run call me, hey, good morning, every day. They call me, hey, every day, because you came in the single best. You came every day to the stadium.
It's a good example of why the distance, unlike any other distance, attracts people from so many different backgrounds. If you're a 10,000 meter runner, you tend to know that you're going to be a 10,000 meter runner for much of your life. But, you know, this is a guy that ran 4s. This is a guy that just runs 8s. You sort of...
I was coming up.
Yeah, and I didn't start out anywhere near 800. I started out as a 3,000 meter runner and running cross country. And I think that, getting it right at 800 is, I think 800 is the toughest distance on the track. To get it right, it demands so many different things. It demands the endurance of a 5,000 meter runner. It demands the speed of a world-class 400 meter runner. And for me, running, it's interesting listening to this. For me, I actually only felt comfortable at the distance when I knew I could run a 1500 as well. I knew that I was in very, very good shape for 15 when I knew that I'd also mastered the 800. So for me, it was really important to do both. I think one of the risks that we've had is that the distance itself has continued to get quicker. And these guys are as good as they'll ever be. But I think that when we took one of the rounds out of the 800 meters in Los Angeles, and we basically made it a 3-round competition with a day between the semi and the final, it may have ceased to become truly an endurance event. Now that's a very personal view, and I think that's why maybe, although we've still got athletes at the very highest level, I think the strength in depth at the distance isn't as strong as it used to be. If you go back through the ranking list, 10th or 11th place now on that ranking list, I'm guessing, is not as quick as 10th or 11th 10 or 15 years ago, and 20 years ago, and I think that's probably because there's slightly less endurance needed because you don't have as many rounds to cover. That's a personal view.
Yes.
What No, for me anyway, so I could say, talking about the rhythm of 800, and so it's very important because like 800, like Seb was like that, is a special event. It's a sprint, it's a long distance, you know, so it's in between. So to make the judgment,
And you could run miles.
so it's not easy, but I was working on that because I was running anyway indoors, 1,000 meters. I have a record for 1,000 meters, but I was working on it to go slowly to 1,500. But what happened was, so 98, when I was running well in 97, I got malaria in 98, so I lose all the training, and then also I had to start to build it up again. And ran 15 and 8, so you know you have to run 1,500 in 3:29 if you have to be number one, top 5 in the world in those days. So running 141 and running 3:29, I think so was not going to be easy to make it even if I ran even 3:35. So that was the reason why I didn't want to move to 1,500 because the standard was too high.
Yeah, question to the 3 former world record holders. Could David be the man, the first man under 100 seconds, 140? Or is it too early to talk about this?
If we really want to make his life impossible, we'll say
Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
I'm not going to say that because that's unfair for him, but I think that my gut instinct, there's still some time to come out of that, of David's performance.
My opinion so maybe it's too early because now, you know, so this year I'm moving now to World Championship next year and Olympic, so I think we still have to keep time. But as I say, you know, the doors is open for somebody to run that time, but we are not putting pressure on him because I think, you know, anybody can come maybe in 2 years' time because we can see there's the young people coming now, run around 42, what they did in Rieti. So, you know, it can be. So we don't have to say, so it's too early to say that.
Everybody runs 142 in Rieti.
Sandro,
Capo Piccolo Sandro Giovanelli.
too far away,
Vero amici.
100 seconds.
140 is under 140 is far away. I think I was saying even this year 140 might be possible, and that is what I'm aiming for. So it depends also with the season how it's going to start from next year. Though we have the World Championships and the Olympic the following year, so that one might also hinder some some focus toward the fast time. But I think myself 140 is possible. But below that, I say I don't.
I have a question for David. What was the moment in your season you thought, now I can break the record? Was it after the race in Heusden when it was a remarkable evening, when you were running so fast there?
Or in Oslo.
You know, I was planning the way I started planning from last year. I started planning, you know, to go for the record after Rieti when I got the African record that stayed for the last 25 years. So that is when now I start focus to break the world record. And I was starting my season just along very well. But when after running African Championship, that is when now I feel I'm ready because I just ran very nicely in altitude, you know, just feeling relaxing without struggling too much. 142 in Nairobi it's not easy. And then I felt that I can go for the record. And then I told my coach, we discussed that we will not wait until we know Rieti has a perfect weather and everything is perfect there. But we discussed and then we say, we don't want to keep to say until the Rieti. Let us try in maybe in Berlin, and let us not keep a long time because I feel now I'm ready to go for it. So we try Berlin and things work out.
Also a question to the three former world record holders. Do you have any doubt who will be tomorrow evening the athlete of the year? Who is for you the athlete of the year? Alberto and Seb.
To say.
Yeah, please. What are your personal opinion?
Maybe it's right here. Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe.
I will be
Maybe.
delighted because it belongs
Yeah.
to my event.
Yeah, yeah. No doubt.
I can say it's not easy, but because I think now Torkelson has been doing very well. If you look at the history of javelin, he has been from Olympic world champions, European champion, Diamond League. So I think it's going to be really up to the finish line. So I don't want to say today. I have to wait until tomorrow. But I don't know
But
where I
for
have
you,
to put my money. So maybe it's here, but I have to wait a little bit.
I'm the one supposed to be in politics.
Question to the three older of you, what qualities?
It's getting near our bedtime.
What qualities does Rudisha have you needed at your time?
About a
To run
second.
faster.
Yes.
He has something more.
Maybe the modern time, the different situation, different quality of a track maybe, inspiration, motivation also.
Maybe different type of technology.
Technology is different, yes.
So I think if we look at, I think the clothes, the shoes,
Yeah.
and the track, and then
And many things, many things.
I don't know. I think also he's a strong guy, you know, because I think when we were running, maybe we were not that strong, but if you look at him, so he's powerful. He have a rhythm for 800, which I think so. Maybe in a way we were still just because looking back the way Juantorena was running, I just checked some videos, and the way he was moving also was quite easy and very strong. I come to Sebastian Coe, was a little bit short like me, you know, so we just have quick steps, very fast. And then Rudisha is long strides, very strong. So this, I think, if you have to look at it, so is to analyze how people tell you, but then we have a different times and the different ways of training. And now I think it's more professional training than, if I look at back when I was training in Kenya in my days when I was in school, so it was not more professional, but now people, they do really professional training. You know, at least.
My father's rolling in his grave at this moment.
Because I think we did a different training, and this I say so. To look at the 800, I think so. Nobody knows the secret of 800 because looking from
It's a tough distance.
Stop
yeah,
this.
yeah. Because I think maybe for the last 30 years, so it's only 4 people they have run also under 142, and for the last 30 years or 40 years, so it's only 4 people broke those the record in 800. So I think so. It's a little bit. It's not easy even to break it.
Yeah, I know. I only want to add one thing. I am very lucky that these 3 men come up when I retire. I'm lucky. I'm
Yeah,
lucky.
we felt that about you. Yeah, so that's very
Yes,
much.
Stefan?
Yeah, question to all the gentlemen. How important was the crowd, was the public in your specific races?
Sorry.
How important was the crowd, the public in your specific races?
Very important.
Very important, very important.
Particularly in a world record attempt, because often, you know, I think back to when I broke the record in Firenze in 81. You know, I ran 700 meters on my own, certainly 600 meters. So it's often it's a lonely place. You're just running with no, people are not around you. So actually having the crowd getting excited and knowing what you're doing, following your progress with the clock is a massive, massive help.
Crowd is important. I remember in 1977, during the Universiada in Sofia, everybody was shouting, everybody was making clap, and this motivated you, give you an inspiration, give you a strength. Because the second one was Milovan Savic, 1:45.67. And then I was 1:43.44. I was running like Seb said. almost alone all the way down. But the audience, the people, the environment, your friends, you know, this gives you some inspiration and some extra strength to compete. And the crowd is, in my opinion, is part of our life, part of the record, part of everything when they are competing on the track.
There is an athlete that could very easily have been sitting at this top table at that stage, and that's of course Mike Boyd.
Oh my
And
God!
we should never forget. You know, if I had a fifth great 800 meter runner.
Great.
Düsseldorf.
I know him. I know.
It's Mike. I
I
know.
was running shoulder by shoulder in
Zurich.
Düsseldorf.
Düsseldorf.
Shoulder by
Amazing.
shoulder.
One of the best ever.
He was an
Yeah.
excellent man. Excellent man.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Excellent man. Excellent.
So wasn't your
Yeah.
Wilson?
Yeah, I think so. The audience is really, it's very important because I remember in Zurich, in Stockholm, Moscow, but in Zurich when I ran 48.03 for the first 400, and the last 50 meters I think was like another 1 kilometer. So on this, I think so. And the crowd was really there to cheer me. So I could not feel the pain, but I managed to go home anyway with 1:41.24, and this was for the people, making a lot of noise. But I could feel the pain, but I could still hear the noise. So this made me moving.
David, how was it in your race?
What was the perfect pace for Tengele to have done that night? Because that, for me, that night in Zurich was your night. And if he just went a little too fast, when he went 48.1, what would have been your perfect choice looking back on it?
I think so. It's not easy to say. Something could be perfect that day. I think if something goes wrong, you have to try and correct it. But then, for me, I say it was too fast. But then I was also behind him. So I think so. He could not really manage to control himself.
Yeah.
Because I think also the tension was there to say I'm going after the record. So for him, he was trying to help me. So I'm not blaming him for.
No, I know that. But if you'd have had if you'd have run 48.9 or 49.0, would that have been better for you that night?
Yeah, it's difficult to know because maybe it was a little bit too slow. Maybe I could not even run the record. So this is not easy to make the judgment.
David,
Yeah, I would
answer
like
the question.
David's comment on that.
I think also the crowd is very important because, even me when I was running, my pacemaker would take me only to like at most 400 meter, 450 to probably 500. And then the last 300, I was alone. So the only thing you could hear and to see is the crowd, the way they are cheering. You see them standing. That's when now you realize that you are running fast and you need to push. So you feel like you are doing something, something special, like the one that I broke in Berlin. The crowd ran crazy, and I was like, oh my God. The last 100, I said I have to push because I feel that I'm going to do something. And I think the crowd also they're the one who are seeing the clock. So it's like they are telling you, keep on.
Thank you.
Emmanuel?
David, do you think you deserve to be Athlete of the Year and why? Do you think you deserve to be the Athlete of this year and why?
I don't know.
That's the best answer.
It's hard to tell because you can't say that I'm going to be there. I can't tell people that I'm the Athlete of the Year. They saw many factors to consider, and many people also have achieved this year, and it also depends the way they analyze the statistic, and they are the one to decide who they are going to give.
And who would you vote for?
Probably I'll vote for myself. But though you also have competition is also there, like David Oliver, winning the whole series, like 13 finals, and in hurdles running the fourth and fifth, fastest time in hurdle. And also Tokyo Zone, really performing very well. Tyson Gay, so the competition is tough.
Any more questions?
What would be the perfect balance between the two 400s to go as fast as possible on 800? What would be the right balance according to you?
It's such an individual thing, because we're all in the era now where we're at the beginning of it, but we're all in the era where actually you can do the blood chemistry analysis, you can do the treadmill work, you can do all the physiological stuff that will basically tell you that anyway. I mean, the great advantage, if you ask me, the big advantage that these guys had was that actually the science of what they were doing is very much more exact. I mean, I was probably at the beginning, and I know we talked about this in Havana. So you can say, well, maybe somebody should go out in 49 and bits or 50 and bits. It really depends on everything from VO2 max through to the economy, the economic use of the oxygen. Plenty of cleverer people than me will figure that out, and that's why we work with physiologists. So it's almost impossible to answer that question. I think in future, I've always suspected, however, that the improvements on the distance normally come by people covering the distance quickly early on. If you look, the biggest shift before this guy in 800 meter running was in 36-37 by Rudolf Harbig, the German athlete. He ran 146.6, and he did it by running very much quicker over the first phases of the race than anybody else was doing at the time. This guy made the next biggest breakthrough by doing the same, and he did that off a 400 meter. I did that in Oslo and then in Florence by covering the distance quicker than most people were prepared to do. So did he. So I think there is a pattern of 800 meter records where people are prepared physically and mentally to commit early on in the race. But to get it down to the granular detail of whether it's 49 and bits or 50 and bits is so dependent on individual physiology.
I underline that this analyze, looking into the Montreal race, I was running the first lap in 50.58. But I started to move for the 300 if you analyze the video for the 300. And then I have the motivator that Warburg was running together with me all the way down. And then he obliged me to keep going all the way down. This depends, it's exactly like he said, it depends of many factors. How do you feel, how your strength, how your motivation, how you are preparing from a psychological point of view. It depends on many things, many things. But one thing is important. When you are right to 700, this part of the curve, you say, oh my God, where is the finish line? Who has stolen the finish line?
Wilson, do you want to?
Yeah, I think I can say that, because we say 800 is not easy then, because I run in a different ways. Try to run even race, maybe 50-50, which I could not make it. I went 49 and tried to still go fast, it's 51 the last one. But I was looking my times anyway, so no matter how fast I ran the first one, I still have 2 second negative splits. I go too fast, I have 3 seconds, so it's more worse. So in this, to make it really even, so it's like anyway, you have to decide. If you are strong, if you can go 47, 400, and you can still maintain it, good luck. And if you can say, okay, I can run maybe 50-50, I say also good luck, because it's not easy to keep the same rhythm. Because you know the wind is changing all the time. You go every corner,
Yeah,
like
I know.
you know. So you get the wind against you, you get the wind behind you. So it's moving, and then also the lactate is coming, and and the edge also is coming.
We're laughing because on the night he broke the record in Zurich, I was sitting at home and I got a phone call from Andreas Brugger saying the weather in Zurich is really not very good. I'm thinking, oh. And he said, you know, I'm told that we've been on to the Zurich Weather Centre and they've said that an hour later will be okay.